A healthy self-esteem is like a mental shield to handle the setbacks, bumps, and challenges of life with confidence and strength. It not only makes us more resilient, but is also essential for exploring and uncovering our true potential. Knowing how to build self-esteem is important because how we feel about ourselves affects everything we do. And these 3 techniques suggested by psychotherapists is one of the best ways to get started on the right foot. A very common technique used in therapy is act as if. It's not about lying or trying to trick yourself, but about getting over those imagined fears or threats by giving ourselves a set of action steps that usually work. Like to counter negative thoughts, to build self-esteem and act more confidently, ask, what would a confident person do right now? This does 3 things. First, it gives us a set of action steps that usually work, so the thing becomes more definite, more tangible than just a vague idea about what to do. Secondly, it shifts our focus to taking action, leaving us with lesser mental bandwidth to think about how we are feeling. And third, after taking action despite all the fears and doubts, because it's usually worse in our mind than in reality, it usually feels, yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought. And the proof that we can do it helps us think better of our abilities, respect our capabilities more, and so it builds up our value of self-worth to a more realistic level. How to build self-esteem is essentially about managing our thoughts better, because self-esteem is after all a set of beliefs rather than a given fact. And so having a strategy ready to challenge those negative thoughts with proof is the key. To maintain this progress, it's important to create the right kind of environment that supports and nurtures it. Every new habit, because developing a new approach to life, learning how to build self-esteem is a habit if we want it to become a natural part of our personality. And every new habit thrives better in an environment optimized for it. Want to eat healthier? Make snacking on chips harder by keeping them where it's hard to reach. Every person who is comfortable with themselves, every therapist says it's important to curate who we surround ourselves with, because that has a huge effect on what kind of feedback we get for our efforts and how we think in general. If the people around us have a more complaining or whining attitude to life, we will eventually pick that up subconsciously. This is because of what's called the Ash paradigm. Our tendency to doubt our own knowledge when it's contradicted by the majority of the group members. Researcher Herbert Kellman went even further, and he proved that it can even influence us to adopt these new views and start thinking of them as being our own. And so, how to build self-esteem is as much about the kind of people we interact with most as it is about how we look at things. If the people in our immediate environment aren't supportive of the kind of thinking we want to develop, or if they have a defeatist kind of attitude, then it will become very difficult to keep trying to do things otherwise. To make it easier, try connecting more with people, whether online or offline, the people who have the kind of attitude you admire or the approach that you want to make a natural part of your life. Now, kindness goes a long way when it comes to how to build self-esteem. A 2017 study showed that any kind of kindness, especially those shown to strangers, like when volunteering, boosted our sense of competence, of worth, of how we like who we are. And another study about personality traits showed how self-compassion and self-confidence, trusting our ability, are linked together. A simple way to be kind to ourselves, a technique that is often used in therapy, is to use cognitive reframing. An easy way to understand this is, say you are trying to click a picture with your phone. Now, if you shift your position, go lower or higher, zoom in or out, or maybe hold the phone in a different way, the photo you click will end up looking very different. When we zoom in or out, we are actually changing how big or small the furthest thing looks in comparison to the one nearest to us. In the same way, if we change how we look at a situation, frame it differently, it will feel different to us. Like we can see a failed attempt as proving that we aren't good enough, or we can see it as showing where there's an opportunity to add to our knowledge base, to get more skilled at doing that thing. That's one of the most effective ways how to build self-esteem. Achievers and those who give up have the same goals. The only difference is how they frame the situation when there's a setback. Low self-esteem can take the joy away from our achievements, chalking them more up to chance or to luck than to our own ability. It's easier to be kind to others than in our own thoughts about ourselves. So when we find ourselves being critical of what we can do or our results, it's a good idea to ask what we would advise our best friend in the same situation, because when we start looking at things from different angles, we become more skilled at coming up with creative ways to turn any situation to our advantage. And this video over here shows how to get unstuck in life using cognitive reframing and other techniques, because there's so much more to life than we think possible right now. I hope you found this video helpful. Take care, and I'll meet you in the next video.